I'm Michael Hitchborn, and this is the American Life League Report. What are the inalienable rights of man? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness? What about uninhibited sex? Well, the International Planned Parenthood Federation has drafted a plan to impose the right of uninhibited sex on every country in the world. The plan is titled Sexual Rights, an IPPF declaration, and it seeks to respect, protect, and advance the rights of all persons to sexual autonomy and to promote sexual health and rights within a framework of non-discrimination. Now, before I explain to you exactly what these so-called rights entail, you need to understand what the IPPF does. In a nutshell, the IPPF is the international headquarters describing itself as a worldwide movement of national organizations campaigning for sexual and reproductive health and rights. It works like this. When the IPPF writes a policy, that policy is then handed down to 6 regional organizations, who then hand it to national affiliates, and then it becomes the policy guide for political lobbying and campaigning efforts. So, when Planned Parenthood shells out millions of dollars to lobby for certain bills, buy political ads, and contribute campaign funds to politicians, they do so in accordance with the policy set forth by the IPPF. This means that politicians receiving Planned Parenthood donations and awards are signing on to IPPF policies. But what are these so-called sexual rights the IPPF is talking about? The declaration consists of 7 principles and 10 articles outlining various fictional rights afforded all human beings. Here are a few. In Article 1, Paragraph 4, the IPPF aims at emancipating children from the moral guidance of parents by stating that children's right to attain sexual pleasure is evolving according to their capacity. Article 3, Paragraph 5 claims that no woman shall be condemned to forced maternity as a result of having exercised her sexuality. And Paragraph 13 protects sexual predators from extradition as a result of their sexual history or behavior. Article 4 seeks to protect all persons from disclosing their sexual history, sexual partners, and behaviors. Now, this article is very important to note because it reflects Principle 3 on non-discrimination. Principle 3 states, "This framework of non-discrimination prohibits any exclusion or restriction on the basis of sexual history or behavior, real or imputed, which has the effect of impairing or nullifying the exercise of all human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or other field." In other words, if you have a history as a sexual predator, you should be able to retain your right to work in a daycare center. And if you think that's scary, Article 5, Paragraph 9 says, "No person shall be denied identity papers which indicate his or her gender or sex as reflecting the person's self-defined gender identity, including but not limited to birth certificates, passports, and electoral records." So ladies, when this guy decides he is no longer a man and has his birth certificate changed to indicate that he is actually a she, don't get upset when he enters the ladies' room unannounced. That would be a violation of his rights. But things just go downhill from here. Article 6 boldly claims the right to express one's sexuality. But note in the language just how far they're willing to take it. All persons have the right to exercise freedom of thought, opinion, and expression regarding ideas on sexuality, sexual orientation, gender identity, and sexual rights without arbitrary intrusions or limitations based on dominant cultural beliefs or political ideology, or discriminatory notions of public order, public morality, public health, or public security. This means that public nudity and even public sex acts well beyond holding hands or kissing would be a right. Article 8 pushes perverse sex indoctrination on kids by removing the right of parents to raise children in the virtues of modesty and chastity. And Article 10 calls for states to remove the rights of free speech for nonprofit and religious institutions when it comes to the morality of sexual matters. Specifically, it wishes to establish mechanisms of accountability for ensuring that their obligations related to the guarantee of sexual rights are fully upheld, and calls for non-state actors whose actions or omissions impact upon enjoyment of sexual rights to be held accountable for the lack of such enjoyment. This refers back to Principle 7, which specifically names not-for-profit and religious entities who speak out against immorality and murder as those to be held accountable for getting in the way. So your church would be in violation of an individual's sexual rights should your pastor preach on the immorality of birth control, abortion, homosexuality, premarital sex, adultery, pornography, or any other perversion. For more information on this declaration of debauchery, go to our website all.org/IPPF and read the full report, which is titled Self-Centered Slavery, IPPF's Declaration on Sexual Rights. In the meantime, find out if your public officials are taking Planned Parenthood money, because if they are, you can be certain that they are being pressured to bring Planned Parenthood's goals of social perversion to your neighborhood. For American Life League, I'm Michael Hitchborn.